NFL team, the Baltimore Ravens.
The rivalry between Mike Tyson and Mitch "Blood" Green is one of the most chaotic, bizarre, and authentic chapters in the history of professional boxing. To understand their 1986 fight, one must first understand that this wasn't just a clash of two athletes, it was a collision between the disciplined violence of the boxing ring and the raw, unhinged energy of the New York City streets. In the mid-1980s, Mike Tyson was a phenomenon. Under the guidance of Cus D'Amato and Kevin Rooney, Iron Mike had become a human wrecking ball. By May 1986, he was 20-0 with 19 knockouts. He was the most feared man in the sport, a terrifying blend of speed, leverage, and bad intentions. However, Mitch Green was not an average opponent. Standing 6 feet 5 inches with a long reach and a granite chin, Green was a legitimate heavyweight contender ranked in the top 10. But more importantly, Mitch Green was a legend in Harlem. He was the leader of a street gang called the Black Spades, the same gang that Afrika Bambaataa had once been a part of. Green didn't view himself as a boxer who happened to be from the streets. He was a street fighter who happened to box. The animosity began long before they stepped into the ring at Madison Square Garden. Green felt slighted by the boxing establishment and specifically by Tyson's camp. He believed Tyson was being manufactured into a star while he, a real New Yorker, was being held back. Green claimed that he was being paid significantly less than Tyson for the fight, reportedly $30,000 to Tyson's $250,000, and he made his displeasure known in the most vocal way possible. During the pre-fight press conferences, Green didn't talk about strategy or training. He screamed about respect, money, and Don King's hair. He called Tyson a little boy and promised to expose him. Tyson, usually intense but quiet during this era, looked genuinely perplexed by Green's erratic behavior. When the bell finally rang on May the 20th, 1986, the world expected another quick Tyson knockout, but Mitch Green had other plans. From the opening seconds, Green utilized a strategy that frustrated Tyson. He clinched. Every time Tyson moved inside to deliver his devastating hooks and uppercuts, Green would wrap his long arms around him, leaning his weight on the shorter man and whispering trash talk into his ear. It was a messy, ugly, and physically exhausting fight. Tyson, however, was in his physical prime. Even with Green's constant holding, Tyson managed to land some of the most brutal shots of his early career. In the early rounds, Tyson landed a series of body shots that sounded like wet leather hitting a concrete wall. In the third round, a massive right hand from Tyson actually knocked the gold bridge out of Green's mouth. The bridge flew across the ring, a shimmering testament to Tyson's power. Yet, incredibly, Green didn't go down. He shook his head, stuck out his tongue, and continued to taunt Tyson. As the fight moved into the middle rounds, Tyson's frustration grew. He was winning every minute of every round, but he couldn't find the finishing blow. Green was fighting for survival and for pride. He would lean against the ropes, take a flurry of punches that would have decapitated any other human, and then smile. It was a psychological battle as much as a physical one. Tyson was landing at a high percentage, but Green's Harlem toughness was on full display. He refused to be another highlight on Tyson's knockout reel. By the 9th and 10th rounds, the crowd in Madison Square Garden was restless. They had come to see a spectacular knockout, but they were witnessing a gritty, exhausting wrestling match punctuated by flashes of extreme violence. Tyson continued to stalk Green, bobbing and weaving with the peekaboo style, but Green's height and reach made him a difficult target to pin down cleanly. When the final bell rang, both men were still standing. Tyson won a lopsided unanimous decision, but he looked more annoyed than victorious. He had proven he was the better boxer, but Green had proven he was impossible to break. The story of Tyson and Green should have ended there, but their destinies were intertwined by a shared geography and a mutual refusal to let the grudge die. 2 years later, in August 1988, one of the most famous incidents in sports history occurred. Mike Tyson was now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the most famous athlete on the planet. At 4 a.m., Tyson was at Dapper Dan's boutique in Harlem, picking up a custom-made jacket. Mitch Green, hearing that Tyson was in his neighborhood, rushed to the store to confront him. What followed was a scene straight out of a movie. On a dark Harlem sidewalk, the heavyweight champion and his former rival engaged in a bare-knuckle brawl. According to witnesses, Green began harassing Tyson, again demanding more money for their 1986 fight and insulting him. Tyson, tired of the harassment, unleashed a straight right hand, not with a boxing glove, but with a bare fist. The blow sent Green to the pavement, but because Tyson's hand hit Green's hard skull, Tyson suffered a hairline fracture in his fifth metacarpal. Green ended up with a severely swollen eye and a cut that required 5 stitches. This street fight had massive implications. Tyson was scheduled to fight Frank Bruno in a multi-million-dollar bout, which had to be postponed while his hand healed. The incident also fed into the media narrative that Tyson was becoming uncontrollable and dangerous outside the ring. For Green, the street fight cemented his legacy as the man who wouldn't leave Mike Tyson alone. He later sued Tyson for $25 million for the injuries sustained in the scuffle, though a jury eventually awarded him only $45,000, hardly enough to cover his legal fees. Decades later, the Tyson-Green saga remains a fan favorite because it represents a raw era of boxing that no longer exists. It wasn't about branding or marketability. It was about 2 men from the toughest parts of Brooklyn and Harlem who genuinely couldn't stand the sight of each other. Green was the ultimate what-if character, a man with world-class talent whose street persona and erratic lifestyle prevented him from ever reaching the top. Tyson, meanwhile, was the unstoppable force who found in Green an immovable object, at least for 10 rounds in 1986. To watch the footage of their fight today is to see a different side of Mike Tyson. You see his patience being tested, you see his ability to handle a dirty fighter, and you see the terrifying durability of Mitch Green. It wasn't the most beautiful fight in Tyson's career, but it was perhaps the most revealing. It showed that while Tyson could knock out anyone, there were some men whose spirits were simply too stubborn to fall. In the end, the Mike Tyson versus Mitch Green story is a reminder that the ring is just a square with ropes, but the grudges born on the street stay with a man forever. Even now, in interviews, if you mention Mitch Green to Mike Tyson, a specific look comes over his face, a mix of annoyance, nostalgia, and a begrudging respect for the man who took his best shots and stayed standing. And for Mitch Green, the 1986 fight and the 1988 street brawl remain his greatest claims to fame, the nights he stood toe-to-toe with the baddest man on the planet and lived to tell the tale. It is a story of gold teeth, midnight boutiques, broken hands, and a rivalry that defined the grit of New York City boxing in its golden age.